The National Prayer. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and loving just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build the nation where peace and justice reign. Amen. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Welcome you all once again to this conversation, and it promises to be a very impactful one. It's organized by the Network and Advocacy Group of Terra Leadership Foundation with support from MacArthur Foundation. And this is just one, as Father George will always say, one of our modest contributions to nation building, to ensuring that we have a better country for ourselves and indeed for the children after us. My name is Inya Ode, and I'm so honored to be here today. Very, very quickly, let me introduce the Executive Director of Terra Leadership Foundation, Reverend Father George Ihusani, to say a few words and, of course, set the tone for the conversation this morning. Please, a round of applause for him.
Happy Independence Day. In the last few days, I have been reviewing, as I said in church, the articles and editorials that I have written in the last 30 years. From 1991, I became editor of a newspaper precisely in 1991, September 1991. And I ran that newspaper till 2001. And in 2001, I became a member of the editorial board of the Guardian newspapers till today. And the editorials I have drafted for the Guardian, or editorials I wrote for my newspaper, these last 30 years, unfortunately, have been like a broken record. They have been pretty much the same. If I took an article I wrote, or editorial I wrote in December 1991, or in April 1995, or in December 1998, or 2003, or whatever, and removed the names and the date, and publish it today, it's exactly the same. I don't need to change more than 2-3 lines. Dr. Adegoreye has been part of, he was in government, as permanent secretary or director general of various ministries, and you have seen it all. And you worked under some of the people that were in power. And you came out and wrote two classic books on governance in Nigeria, and what the problems are, and what we could do about it. But not much has happened, unfortunately. We have remained where we were. In fact, many will say we have gone down, degenerated so badly. 30 years ago, I found myself writing about the quality of education and how university education has gone down. This is 1991. But there are people now who just envy actually the state of the university in 1991. The topic of today's gathering and the interventions we will take from each one is Nigeria at 61, where do we go from here? Are we to continue dancing around cycles? And the cycles we're dancing around, that cycle is sinking. Whatever platform we are on, and rather than moving forward, we are dancing around. Whatever platform, that platform is sinking. There is no solid ground. Just an hour ago, or an hour and a half ago, Mr. Emo and I were reviewing some of those. I wish I brought those papers for you to see how old those papers are and the kind of topics. We were reviewing it, and we were discussing about that Nigeria as constituted is nothing but a pack of cards. A pack of cards that is going to collapse if you don't do something about it. This is what? Was it September or July 1992? And 30 years after, we are still talking of Nigeria as a pack of cards. For some reason, we have managed to hang peremptorily on the edge. And we have continued to be on the edge, still tilly, but not yet collapsing. Now, a lot of people have been afraid of doing something or coming out to do something because they are afraid of dying. But I have constantly reminded people that we are nevertheless dying in installments. Which one is easier? Which one is more tolerable? To die once, as Dr. Akunyili died the day before yesterday, once, or to be dying in installment? I think we would rather prefer to die once than to be dying in installments. And I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, friends, that we are dying in installments. So whatever we need to do, if it means dying once, so that future generations can live, we must do. And that is why we are gathered here. Where do we go from here? I would like to give the microphone to my colleagues here. These are the Secretariat of the Network and Advocacy Group, and also the members of the think tank, to say a few words. And
Dr. Adegoroye, it's over to you.
Happy Independence Day to all of us. Father George has put it so succinctly, and I'm glad that Father Ladi Thompson and the others are also here. I'm going to be saying a few things that some of us know. I'm probably stressing it. There is no country on the planet Earth with a higher ratio of aggregate natural resources endowment to natural hazard and disaster than Nigeria. Let me put it in another way. Nigeria has the best natural endowments to natural hazards balance sheet in the whole world. For those of you who know, I used to be in environment. I was Director General of FEPA. I led Nigeria to Kyoto, so I know what I'm talking about. Not only is our country more endowed with natural resources, it has about the least potentials for earth-crust, water, and wind-based hazards like earthquakes, landslides, tsunami, hurricane, tornadoes, etc. So when you put it together, you will find there is no country. If you talk about Indonesia having oil, their disaster will wipe them out. If you talk about Israel, their desert is more than the one in Maiduguri. So Nigeria is more endowed, more blessed, more geologically stable, more shielded from natural disasters, and with more capacity to adapt to even the impact of climate change that we're talking about. I'm talking with authority, I know what I'm talking. Our biodiversity and cultural diversity are second to none. Our case, therefore, is akin to the proverbial Yoruba folklore, Akebaje. Nigerians are like spoilt brats in the presence of God Almighty. As the Yoruba will say, Akebaje timba omolowoje, meaning overindulgence, over-pampering, is what has rendered the child of the affluent useless. First, like they used to say, he is found crying, and when he's asked, what's the matter? He says it's because he's hungry. So they instruct the stewards to serve him a plate of food. Barely a minute after that, he starts bursting to cry again. And they ask him, what's the problem this time? And he answers, the pile of meat in this plate is impeding my muzzle from reaching the soup. That is how bad we are. So as Nigerians, we need to stop acting like spoiled brats, but to sit up and be responsible and appreciate the enormous opportunities that God has placed before us in our natural resource endowments and in the protection from natural disasters and our biodiversity and cultural diversity. It is imperative that our political leaders desist from promoting sectional but national agenda. Sectional agenda gives only temporary short-lived advantages. Sooner than later, the other groups will see through those agenda. Not only will such sectional agenda generate tensions, our experience is showing that the sectional interests that have been adopted as policy in the past have in fact started to backfire. The evidence covers a whole range of policy issues arising from our regionally divergent attitudes in family planning. The other day in the Council of Retired Palms, we were told about a man who went to university, who was a principal, who has about 37 children. To revenue, to child education, to quota system, to mineral resource extraction, to revenue sharing formula, and even the sharing of political appointments. They are creating more challenges for the entire nation, and indeed, for those upon whom these parameters have hitherto conferred some seeming advantage. I salute the courage of the prominent politician who went on national television to confess that rigging was a major tool for winning their election. We should know that among the multifaceted factors assembled to effect rigging of elections and their aftermaths are the security challenges now plaguing the nation. In the end, of what benefits were those rigging, other than temporary political power? And as they too were outmaneuvered in the act in the end. As the Holy Book says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Perhaps the personal confession of that politician, who has since passed on, might be what will save his soul in the end when he goes to God. Who knows? Considering the two contending and two polar regions of Nigeria that we have as our dominant religion, Christianity and Islam, it is advised that our political leaders should in earnest learn to be guided by the tenets of our faiths. Incidentally, these tenets are also captured in the Rotary four-way test, where they will say, anything you want to do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all? My own faith teaches that I should do unto others as I would want them to do to me. There's no doubt that by subjecting any of our desires, any of the desires of our respective social groups to these four-way tests and making them pass it, we'll be fostering peace and harmony and laying the foundation for the prosperity of our nation. Concluding, I will say, because I've been somebody in governance and I advise, the governance requirements of compelling government offices and agencies to be alert to their responsibilities and responsive to the yearning of the citizens so as not to allow local challenges to coalesce and snowball into national problems has become an urgent imperative. The capacity for proactive initiatives is a defining key attribute of professionalism and leadership. It is an innate quality that sits at the nexus of inspiration and reflex. When it is lacking in people holding executive positions, the safety valve lies in their dual capacity for receptiveness to creative problem-solving ideas by others and the courage to leverage those ideas to take prompt actions. The current situation in the country stems from an increasing pattern where all three qualities, namely proactive initiatives, receptivity to ideas, and courage to act, are lacking in many of those holding top executive positions in our country. Government is better called upon to consider placing premium importance to capacity for proactive initiatives, receptivity to ideas, and courage to take prompt actions in making appointments into top executive positions in government offices and agencies. May God grant us the will to be receptive to ideas that will redirect our country on the path of unity, peace, progress, and prosperity, the motto inscribed boldly in our coat of arms. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call on the Mustafa Mohammed to say a word.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this town hall meeting once again. I have a very strong reason not to say happy independence. It will sound so funny, but 61 years after independence, and then add like 30 years before the independence, maybe we'll be talking about 100 years. The dream of those who fought for the independence of this country is not a country where Boko Haram, IPOB, bandits will be killing people 61 years after the independence that they want us to celebrate by force. Part of the celebration is blocking the Abuja Kefi highway. Over 1,000 vehicles are there. I even saw people traveling with their families this morning. It's quite unfortunate. I saw women and little children with their families stranded. Going back to the topic, where do we go from now? By 90%, an average Nigerian wants to identify himself with his tribe, ethnicity, religion, region. One of the biggest problems where Nigeria refused to grow as a nation, as a country. I am Igbo, I am Yoruba, I am Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri, Ibira, Igala. We have failed deliberately or otherwise to put the country first. People are now talking about where should the presidency go. I want those who have not traveled to Niger and Katsina to travel to the rural areas in these places. Both states have produced like two presidents. Late Umaru Musa Eradua, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is currently the president of Nigeria, President Ibrahim Babangida, military head of state, and President Abdusalami Abubakar. Has the presidency, these people developed the state where they come from? No. Rotational presidency, another source of greed, another source of wickedness. What type of country are our children going to grow into? Most people here are adults, they have children. Do we have the right people with the right mindset on top of our political system since the return of democracy in 1999? We have been voting because of religion, because of ethnicity. It has even affected policy formulation in public service, employment, business, and other things. The first thing people want to identify themselves in the 21st century in Nigeria is my religion. If you are a Muslim, let me send this strong message to you because I'm a Muslim. The opening chapter of the Holy Quran is saying, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Glory be to the Lord of the world. He didn't say glory be to only Muslims. That is where humanity comes. Take this message to wherever you are going. God doesn't care about your religion, your family affiliation, the amount of money you have, even if you are Dangote. You have to respect and work for humanity if you are godly. Because if you go to the other side, they will not be asking you how much money you have, whether your father is President Buhari or Dangote, or you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God will ask you to account for responsibilities given to you from your family to the little office you are occupying, under which you have people working for you, whether public or private, the neighborhood, and the country at large. We have been aspiring to have a better country since independence. Maybe First Republic is far better, it's much better. The military boys came in, killed some politicians. We've been having political and economic crisis since, instability. One of the things people did not want to talk about, but they say in hashtags, okay, those who, the part of the country from which the Kufis came from have not been forgiven. That's why they find it very difficult to give a ticket, presidential ticket to the Igbo man. What happened to forgiveness? We must put tribal sentiment, religious sentiment, ethnicity. Let's talk about development. All those who are traveling to the east knew how bad Enugu-Aba Port Harcourt Road is. They failed to complete deliberately or otherwise the second Niger bridge. What about Onitsha-Enugu Highway, Kano-Maiduguri, the Lokoja or Kene Road, Auchi, Benin, abandoned. Abuja, Lokoja, they are celebrating that they have completed the last section while the first 4 sections have all been dilapidated. Travel to Kaduna, Zaria, Kano by road, you'll be boiling inside because bandits will pick you. If you are from Borno, where I come from, try traveling between Damaturu and Maiduguri. There's every likelihood that you will be killed because even the army they are sending there are being killed. God will not answer our prayers. God has answered our prayers long ago. God has given us money, wealth, whether petroleum, mineral resources, human capacity. So all this, let's pray for Nigeria. 1st October, Muslims should go to the mosque, Christians should go to the church. We are all joking. God will not answer any prayer of what he has already given us. We should either change to have a better country or we'll continue lamenting for the rest of our generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladi, you want to say a word before you leave? Just 2 minutes, and then
where do we go from here? I think there are 3 basic questions. I want to take a holistic look at it. There are 3 questions I'd like Nigeria to ask itself now that we're 61. How long does it take a lie left to itself to turn to a truth? How many years? How many decades does it take a failure left itself to turn itself into a success? And how many centuries does it take a foundation that you prepared for a bungalow to turn itself into a foundation on which you can build a skyscraper? Why am I asking this? Nigeria is the hope of Africa. If we think things are bad in Nigeria, it's because we haven't been around the rest of Africa. And Nigeria must not fail. If Nigeria fails, it will be terrible. And that's why you find out that we believe that this may be Nigeria's best hour. In the midst of all these troubles, the silver lining in the cloud is that finally people have realized that it's beyond government now. It involves all of us. And no nation will ever do beyond the architecture of its thought. It's all thinking. Now, all over the world, we are considered as Africans to be intuitive, emotive, unscientific, and incapable of critical thought. And what our studies have said to us that informs us in the CNC, the Custodians of National Conscience, is after many years of multidisciplinary studies, we found out that there's a global construct that created Nigeria to keep failing without falling. Now, today we have the added complication of another global war form that has come in to take advantage of all the problems we did not resolve from independence. So where do we go from here? Like Reverend Father said, everybody knows that it is better to judge or than to war. But if you look at the Willings Commission report 1958, you will see that the people who put us together knew that events will continue to spark. That makes it difficult for us to sit down and talk. And that's why in the CNC, one of the major platforms we are advocating for is to make non-violent communication a given platform for all forms of discourse. I won't go into the details, but I believe that it is a very African concept, non-violent communication. It helps us to know the core issues, separate the peripherals, and then we'll know which way to go. So I will also join the caution I've heard in all the addresses that while it may not be a totally happy independence, it actually is a significant one, because I believe this is the turning point we have all been waiting for. Our children's children will look back at foundations like this and mention the work that was done to change the tide from our failure to a successful nation. Thank you very much. Well, finally, I must mention that I must thank Apostle Samadi Dobo, who made the reconnection possible to Reverend Father and to the Lux Terra, and to say that he's committed, we're all committed for a greater tomorrow for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Next, Hawa Abbas, for your contribution.
Nigeria is a beautiful country rich with resources and diversity. It's a beautiful country, and the problem of Nigeria is the people of Nigeria. And so my own talk will be on "Be the change you wish to see in the world," a quote by Gandhi. And why I say this is because we're so focused on complaining about Nigeria, 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 forgetting that Nigeria is run by Nigerians, the people. And there's another quote on integrity, which says that someone who has integrity doesn't do what is right when people are watching, but does what is right even when people are not watching. I'm going to give two examples. The first example is of the person who is giving 10,000 naira to cook a pot of soup, but only goes to the market and uses 2,000 naira to buy the ingredients for that pot of soup. There is no way the soup is going to be the same as the 10,000 naira soup. And that's the problem we face in Nigeria. Allocations, funds are given to people, and they misuse the allocations. And you give somebody money, 100 naira to fix a road, and they use 20 naira to fix the road. There is no way that that road is not going to cause accidents, it's not going to kill people. You give somebody contract to build schools in Nigeria, and rather than using 100 naira to build the schools, they use 20 naira to build the schools. That's why we find so many schools in Nigeria have no toilets. How do you build schools for children and there are no toilets? It is not the country that's doing it, it is the people that's doing it. My next example is of the person who drives on one way because he thinks nobody is watching him, or because he thinks road safety is not in that corner. This recently happened to my mentor, where a mechanic took the car of somebody and went to drive on a one-way and came and hit the car of my mentor and killed all 3 people in the car in August this year, because he thought nobody would see him. Unfortunately, he killed 3 men in the car and caused damage to 3 different families. So again, the problem of Nigeria is the people of Nigeria. Each and every one of us in this room have done wrong without people seeing us. And my only plea is that we should walk out of here and decide that we are going to be the change that we need to see. We cannot complain about the people in power because you've never been in power. As you sit in this room, each and every one of us is doing something wrong and no one is seeing us. And so if you are given the opportunity to sit in power and make decisions and allocate funds to different people, if you have no integrity, how do you expect the people that are sitting there to have integrity? So that is my call for today. Let's stop complaining about Nigeria. Let's stop complaining about the government. In our own little homes, in our own family, let us start doing the right thing and hope and pray that it will trickle down to the rest of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sarton?
You know, if you plant a seed, it will germinate, right? But it doesn't germinate the way you planted it. It first of all gets rotten. It will get rotten before it germinates. Nigeria is rotten today. But Nigeria is a seed. It will germinate very soon. 2021 is the year that Nigeria will start germinating. Thank you.
My name is Helen Jekalem. I teach at Bayes University, Abuja. I'm privileged to be here because I've heard a lot of things. Where do we move from here? And I think to support everybody here, we have to look at wherever we are in life as a point of service. My own point of service is that I teach. And I don't tell people I teach. What do? I transform lives. If you're an accountant, what do? You try to ensure that money is judiciously used and documented in your organization. If you're a nurse, you try to help people to get well. So are you serving wherever you are? And we talked of attitudes and so on. So I try to be the light to people. People tell me Nigeria is bad. I said, because Nigeria is in darkness, why don't you be the torch? Because if your own light shines, a lot of people are going to benefit. And how does your life shine? I try to let people know, are you a good person? What do good people do? Are you compassionate? Do you look at the sufferings of others? So as a teacher, when I come, I know I'm a light. And I know a lot of people are looking up to me. And I ask myself what I'm doing, who is going to applaud me? Is it Satan or God? And if it's God, somebody said, was she the one who said, when I was hungry, you gave me food to eat. When I was in prison, you visited me. When I was sad, you took time to listen to my complaints. You didn't have much to offer me, but you listened to me. So each and every one of us has a point of service.
I'm Florence Nwachukwu. I'm a member of Terra. I'm over 70 years of age. Honestly, it shocks me so much when parents, I'm talking about parents now, that's my interest. When parents, the situation we are living in, don't allow their children to play with other children. I don't know how we can really have peace. This thing we are talking about, we are still talking about ourselves. What about these little children? When we live in our barbed houses, you don't allow your children to come out to play with the other children because of their religion or where they come from. We have to do something. We have to begin to encourage children. Let your children mix together. Children don't know the difference. It's we who tell them, indoctrinate them. Oh, that child is not good. Oh, he's a Muslim. She's this, is that. No. I grew up in Lagos as a child. We're all one. I speak Yoruba fluently. I'm Igbo. There was no discrimination whatsoever. But today, it is not like that. So we have to do something as parents. It's very, very important. We have to begin from our homes to allow our children to know that we are all the same, that there's no difference amongst us. That's the only way we can have peace in this country, and Nigeria can do better. Thank you.
My name is Azubike Okeamechi. I'm a medical doctor, and I'm a member of this Terra. Pardon me for that. The issue of Nigeria often confuses us. I'd like to take a different approach. Everybody has spoken well, but I'd like to start by asking, who is a leader? Oftentimes, we have looked at this leadership as some set of people somewhere out there, and they do it for themselves, for us all. But unfortunately or fortunately, we are all leaders. If you look over the 20 years that democracy came back, you will notice that gradually people are retiring and people are coming in, and the problems still remain the same. So I think that if we want to fix this, we need to look at ourselves. First, I'd like to look at us as the owners of Nigeria. If Nigeria were to be your private business, how would you want it to run? You find out that if you look at it that way, we won't take this aloof position we often take. PDP now, APC now. You will make it work, because if that's the only source of livelihood. I am here in my 40s. I don't even know what will happen tomorrow. I might find myself as a governor, as a minister, or even a president. If I do not prepare now, I can't prepare then. That's the truth. And that's why we have been failing. In our little corners, let us look at ourselves as the president of this country. If I get an opportunity, what do I do? Everything we've been talking about here is clearly a fallout of leadership. I stand to be corrected. Have you ever seen governors fighting? They never fight. The North and the South, Christian and Muslims, they are united in misruling us. They come down and tell us that we are not, that Christian is different from this. What binds us together actually is much more than what divides us. So for us, I think we should look deep into ourselves and be a little more committed to the project of this country. We have about over 50 million youths. I dare say that's about the population of United Kingdom. These youths don't have anything doing. Do you know what it means to have a 35, 40-year-old man who cannot even feed himself, who do not know where the next meal is going to come from? That's a disaster. So all we are talking about can be fixed by purposeful, self-driven leadership. And how is this going to happen? By you. If you plan to contest for a position in the next 10 years, this is the time to start working. This is the time to lay down your building blocks and understand. I can't go back to my own Anambra State and say I want to be a governor and I don't know the local government. I don't even know what the problems are. And when I'm there, things are hitting me from left, right, and center. Please, as we do our things, let us understand. Nobody might be looking, but we have to do it right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adubike.
Thank you.
My name is Alex Nadozie. I'm a medical doctor. I want to add 2 points to contribute to where we go from here. And I'll start with what the penultimate speaker said, because I'm a volunteer biology teacher at my alma mater secondary school, one of the government secondary schools. And from there, I see that if we go catch these people young, it will do a lot for the nation. I go there not because I'm the best biology teacher in the town, but because having come from there, I can go and inspire the young ones to look at things better. You know. So I advise us to have a presence, even if Terra can do it, have a presence in so many schools so that what we teach from here, which I learned and which I am giving out, we can spread it at this level. Secondly, because of what the lady that was sitting here said about her mentor that died in that accident, I happened to be one of the doctors that attended to him while he dies. Yeah. So it hurt me because he was actually a very senior colleague of mine as well. And I discovered that when we employ people to work, for example, the Road Safety Commission, the way he was transported to the hospital was totally wrong because the right paramedics were not there. So when we employ, let us do examination. Let us test people. Some of us here are in position to employ. Let us test people well so that the right people will do the right thing in different places, and our country will be better for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alex. But we have to wind down right now, and I'd like to invite Majid Dahiru to give his comments on a summary of the interventions we've made today, and of course, the way forward. Majid?
Thank you very much for having me today, and thank you very much for being here. Happy Independence Anniversary to all of us. Okay. So, from Father George's Lamentations. Lamentations of the Nigerian situation, because of the fact that the more things change, the more they remain the same. So the revelation by Dr. Adegoroye about Nigeria's endowment with very little hazard, which is a rare blessing on any nation on earth. So the chronicles of the various problems and possible solutions by our think tank members, and of course, our participants today, actually took us to the genesis of the problem in 1960. And there also suggested ways to embark on the journey, or an exodus now, to the promised land. And so it has been a very refreshing, very elaborate and robust conversation. So some of the major takeaways from today's conversation is that, yes, we have a leadership problem in Nigeria, but that leadership is a function of a problematic citizenship as well. In other words, the leadership you have today is a product of us, the citizens. But where did we get it wrong from the beginning? Ethnicity, religion, and some other divisive tendencies have been identified by most of the speakers here. And it has also been suggested that we as citizens must take responsibilities for some of our actions. Somebody suggested point of service, individual point of service, as a point of contact to beam the light, to be the light in the darkness. And some other people have also talked about the fact that we should be the change we also want to see in our leadership and some other people. Now, it was Dr. Adegoroye who actually summarized in just one paragraph what I think everybody has said here today. And what is that? He said, do unto others what you want done unto you. So I would just add that as citizens, we are helpless, we are ordinary citizens. Let us start by desiring for others what you desire for yourself. Because this will guide you in making the right leadership choices. Because we're a democracy, whether we like it or not. And if you find yourself in government, please do unto others what you want done unto you. And for citizens that are not in government, please insist that those in government should do unto others what you want them to do unto you. And now this brings me back to the question of who are Nigerians? We've talked about Nigerians, but who are Nigerians? And why are we where we are today? Why does it seem as though the more things change, the more they seem to remain the same? I would actually leave us with some food for thought on this particular issue. If we go back to the problem, to the beginning of this problem, you will realize that 61 years after independence, we still don't have Nigerians because there is no Nigerian nation yet. Nigeria's journey to nationhood has not only been stunted, but I think has actually been put in reverse gear as we speak. So essentially, you don't have Nigerians. You only have the Nigerian people of different ethnic nationalities and religious persuasions. And these differences is an impediment towards desiring for others what you desire for yourself, because if you don't see the commonality in your shared humanity, if you don't see the similarity in your fellow countrymen and women, you will not have the psychological orientation to desire for somebody else what you desire for yourself based on differences in ethnicity and religion. And how do we overcome this? Going forward, because the theme for today is 61 years, where do we go from here? So where do we go from here and how do we go there? Arising from the problems that have been identified today, I think we must begin a deliberate, somebody used the word deliberate, and purposeful journey towards nationhood. We must start the process of nation building from bottom up. But there are some disincentives towards the kind of national reorientation that my brother Charles Ode talked about. One of which is that entrenched narrative. There's this entrenched narrative since 1960 that Nigeria is a British creation of different people that are too different to be a single nation. And people have pointed to what we call our diversity as an impediment to our development, to an impediment to our unity, to an impediment to a country that is just, fair, and equitable. And so to achieve the desired Nigeria that is going to be united, because of course without unity, you cannot have a prosperous country. There's no country on earth that has developed without unity. It's not possible. It's something that is not just possible. It's like a family where members of the family are fighting over a bowl of fufu within themselves. So you can't have peace there. You can't have unity. So, but what is this? How do we overcome this impediment to national unity? We must begin to realize individually that contrary to that entrenched narrative that Nigerians are different people from different backgrounds, Nigerians are not as different as we believe, as we are made to believe. Nigerians are actually one people. And I cannot emphasize this enough. In fact, Nigeria does not qualify to be called a diverse country. Nigeria is a monoracial country. Diversity is a measure of racial composition and not an ethnic mix of a sample population. So if you are Yoruba, if you are Igbo, if you are Ibibio, if you are Igala, know it today that you belong to the same Black African family. In fact, our history, our culture, our traditional religion, in terms of material culture, in terms of, our shared geography, reveals an intricate relationship between the constituent peoples of Nigeria to a common source. In fact, the British and the French, as well as other colonial masters, actually reduced the cultural commonwealth of Nigeria and cut off some of our kids and kin into Cameroon, into Chad, into Niger and Benin Republic. And so, as a Nigerian, a black African, you must realize that when you marginalize a fellow Nigerian on the basis of differences in ethnicity, which is artificial, none of us here was born with a language. Nobody here was born with a tribal mark. Nobody. And that is why if you are adopted into a family that is not of your original ethnicity, you can as well become integrated and assimilated into the society seamlessly. And I can assure you today that as we speak, there are northern Nigerians of southern Nigerian origin, just as you have southern Nigerians of northern Nigerian origin. So we are one people. If we do not understand and appreciate this fact, we cannot deserve for each other what we deserve for our individual selves. And there cannot be social justice, there cannot be unity, and there cannot be peace. So I'm saying, going forward, those of us that are intellectuals, that are influential, those of us that have the capacity to put this message out there, must begin this message of peace and unity in our oneness. I think Nigeria is a country that is divided in oneness, and not one whose diversity is actually a problem of unity. I think we are divided in our oneness. And so if we come up, if we attain this self-enlightened realization of our oneness, it will go a long way in coming together as citizens to demand for good governance, to demand for the kind of things we want to see in a united and prosperous country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Majid. But let me just very, very quickly invite Fatima Sanusi Karaye to give us the closing remarks and the vote of thanks. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And remember the golden rule. Do unto others what you want to be done unto you. And be that light, that candle. As we go back to our various houses, please light your candle. Make a change. The change begins with you. I remember when I was complaining and whining about my brother, my father said, change. If you change, probably he will change. So if there's a problem that refuses to go, that means we have to look inwards and change. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much. Everyone has talked about being a light. Every Thursday, the Network and Advocacy Group actually have posts online on Facebook, on Instagram. We call it Advocacy Thursday, and yesterday was all about being a light. Better to light a candle, yeah, than to curse the darkness. And that's what we want all of us to do. Let's light candles wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves. And please just follow @LuxTerraNG on social media. All our social media platforms are available for you. Can we please rise for the national prayer? Thank you. And we'll recite it together. O God of creation, direct your noble cause. Love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice reign. Amen. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Independence Day.